Broadway Bridge set to reopen. A look at some of the changes in the area. A look inside a couple's relationship, what one witness testified to at a Saskatoon murder trial. And hope that tariff talks can produce results for Saskatchewan producers.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. Commuters in the city can't wait until tomorrow evening. That's when the city says the Broadway Bridge will reopen. And while much of the work was to remove old and abandoned utilities underneath the bridge, there's a more noticeable change for drivers. Keenan Sorokon reports.
The Broadway Bridge is set to reopen after 6 long months of construction, and there's a few changes you'll need to be aware of before getting behind the wheel. The biggest change is the 19th Street and 4th Avenue intersection coming into downtown. The unique and sometimes confusing intersection is now a traditional T intersection, meaning you'll have to come to a stop or continue down 19th Street. The traffic light on the bridge is gone, eliminating the ability for northbound traffic to split past the island onto either 4th Avenue or 19th Street. There's also going to be pedestrian crossings. Traffic coming from downtown to Broadway will have to either continue along 19th or turn left at the new 19th Street and 4th Avenue intersection. And businesses on Broadway can't wait for traffic to get flowing once again.
I think everyone is breathing a sigh of relief, so it'll be back to business as usual. Summer was a challenge.
The city says the changes are largely for transit as the city prepares to launch Link in 2028. Other than that, everything on the bridge is new. New asphalt, new traffic barriers, new railings, and a bunch of old utilities you can't see underneath the bridge were ripped out. The last time the Broadway Bridge underwent this level of repair was 38 years ago in 1987. Come Saturday night, bus service, all pathways, and all traffic lanes will reopen. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A fired member of the Saskatoon Police Service has been charged with assault in connection to an off-duty party just over a year ago. The charge follows an investigation by the Saskatchewan Serious Incident Response Team. Through its investigation, which saw more than 24 people interviewed, CERT determined there were reasonable grounds to believe an assault had occurred and to charge the off-duty officer who was employed with the service at the time. The former officer was arrested and charged yesterday and is scheduled to be in court later next month. Because the matter is now before the courts, CERT is not releasing further details. In September, 2 constables and a special constable linked to the social gathering last year were terminated from SPS, with the service saying they were unsuitable for police service. 2 others who were suspended were cleared and returned to work earlier this year. The 3 fired members are appealing their termination. Now to the latest on a Saskatoon murder trial. Crown witnesses who were close to the 20-year-old victim described their final interactions with her in the hours before her death. CTV's Stacey Hine has those details.
Nikera Brown's brother and one of her close friends testified about their final interactions with the 20-year-old hours before her death. Brown's boyfriend, Andrew Rosenfeld, is on trial, charged with second-degree murder. Brown was found dead in the couple's Saskatoon apartment in November 2022. Her friend, who cannot be named because of a publication ban, told court that night the couple seemed to be getting along. He said they had been drinking and smoking meth, and that Brown talked about wanting to get sober and regain custody of her son. He also spoke about plans to go on a mission to confront someone for stealing his shoes, but said Brown didn't end up going. Brown's brother, Dragon, was the next to testify, saying he spoke with his sister on the phone that night. He testified Brown sounded agitated with Rosenfeld and asked to stay with him. He said she sometimes spent the night at his place for safety and sanitary reasons because he said her apartment had cockroaches. He said the call ended with Brown saying, "I love you and I'll see you soon." The Crown must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rosenfeld shot and killed Brown. Throughout the trial, the defense has suggested her death was a suicide. During cross-examination, the defense questioned Dragon about his sister's alleged previous suicide attempts. Dragon said he was aware of one, but just learned of another in court. He testified that he believes Rosenfeld shot his sister. The Crown is expected to call its final witnesses Tuesday. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A Saskatchewan man found guilty of sexually assaulting a child 18 years ago was supposed to be sentenced today, but as Jacob Carr reports, the Crown and the defense are very far apart in what they are hoping for.
The sentencing of Edwin Woolheather has been delayed after he was found guilty in May of sexually assaulting a child back in 2007. In a previous case, Woolheather faced 3 counts related to the sexual assault of a minor, but all 3 of those charges were stayed in court. That investigation led to police receiving information about a sexual assault of a child in 2007, and Woolheather was arrested in April of 2023. He was then found guilty of 1 count of sexual assault on May 16th of this year. The defense and the Crown are far apart when it comes to a sentencing decision they'd like to see for Woolheather. The defense pushing for a conditional sentence served in the community for 2 years less a day, while the prosecution wants a 2-year jail sentence at minimum. Many of Woolheather's friends and family were on hand on Friday, as well as the victim in this case with her mother and father. She read an emotional victim impact statement for the courtroom, stating, "To this day, it still impacts me. When I look back, I am reminded of a little girl that had her innocence taken away. I am still unpacking from all the trauma that it caused." Her mother adding, "My daughter has a remarkable ability to persevere despite dealing with this traumatic experience. We love her and are always proud of her." Justice Darren Chow adjourned the sentencing to 3 p.m. on December 5th here at Court of King's Bench. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Well, Jeff, Halloween wasn't quite what we were hoping for, but the weekend is looking promising.
As long as you say hoping for, because it's exactly what we predicted. Temperatures were pretty much what they were yesterday, around 3 degrees. We didn't expect it to be warm, but I'm glad you brought up tomorrow because I wanted to bring this up early. Yes, tomorrow we are looking at a daytime high of 13 degrees in Saskatoon, and it's not the only part of the province that's going to be seeing decidedly warmer than seasonal temperatures. And even as we make our way into the rest of the week, weekend, and into the part of next week, things are looking warmer than we would typically have for the beginning of November, and we'll talk about that later on.
The Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority says it has no plans to move the Gold Eagle Casino in North Battleford. Earlier this week, the Mosquito Grizzly Bears Head Lean Man First Nation held a groundbreaking ceremony announcing it was planning a $100 million commitment to build a casino, hotel, and convention center along Highway 16 West in North Battleford. It said that plan included the relocation and expansion of the Gold Eagle Casino. Today, SIGA released a statement that stated it regularly reinvests in its properties to enhance efficiency and service quality, but says at this time it has no plans to relocate the Gold Eagle Casino, adding any future development with it would be announced at an appropriate time. Prime Minister Mark Carney was in Asia today speaking with Chinese officials in the interest of furthering trade talks. Premier Scott Moe was one of those watching the meetings closely, especially if those talks could lead to the removal of tariffs on Canadian canola. Wayne Mantika reports.
Prime Minister Mark Carney met with the Chinese president in South Korea, where they discussed trade issues including canola, seafood, and electric vehicles.
We now have a turning point in the relationship, a turning point that creates opportunities for Canadian families, for Canadian businesses, and Canadian workers.
While there was no agreement on the lifting of tariffs, Prime Minister Carney was invited to China for further talks. Saskatchewan's premier is encouraged.
In 8 years, that's the first opportunity that we've had for the Prime Minister of Canada to meet with the President of China, and that is a positive step forward.
Saskatchewan is also dealing with the impact of American tariffs on steel and a new tariff imposed by India on yellow peas. Saskatchewan's opposition leader is encouraging Scott Moe to travel to India immediately.
You know, there's only so much that producers can withstand. I think this is when we need to drive at and not leave days, let alone months, before we see the Premier in India.
The Prime Minister has accepted China's invitation to visit as Canada works at mending trade relations on several fronts. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
An expert who performed the autopsy of a man who was killed at a party near Regina 19 years ago took the stand today in a Regina courtroom. McFavel on the difficult details heard in court.
A pathologist who determined Misha Pavlik's cause of death shared details of his findings the morning of May 23, 2006, days after the 19-year-old's death at a grad party near Last Mountain Lake. Dino Grammatico performed the autopsy, finding Pavlik was stabbed 4 times, once in the back of the arm and 3 times to the torso. One of the torso wounds hit directly to the heart of Pavlik, creating an opening over 2 centimeters long. Another wound landing in the same area right next to the heart. Grammatico said the injury caused internal and external bleeding, leading to Pavlik's death. He also found 3 wounds on the crown of the head of Pavlik, which were likely caused by blunt force, but are not connected to the cause of death. Also taking the stand was RCMP forensic specialist Melanie Green. She shared some findings on a number of items connected with the incident. DNA belonging to the accused, Pavlik, and 2 others interviewed in the trial were found on a shirt. This included blood DNA. Another witness who cannot be named also testified about the large amount of violence happening that night. The trial is planned to continue for another 2 weeks. It will pick up again Monday morning with 5 witnesses set to testify. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
Saskatoon Centre is trading hockey sticks for toe picks as the 2025 Skate Canada International kicks off in Saskatoon with 18 Canadians competing. This afternoon, the opening ceremony welcomed dozens of skaters from around the world for the 3-day event. Last year, Canada won gold in the pairs and ice dance events, while the U.S. won the men's category and Japan in the women's. 2-time and defending world champion American Ilya Malinin is looking for his 12th straight international victory dating back to November of 2023. Athletes are using this season to prepare for the 2026 Olympics in Milano Cortina. Action wraps up on Sunday. Saskatoon high school students are Halloweening for hunger again this year. This year marks the 20th year the program has been running in Saskatoon. Students from St. Joseph and Bishop James Mahoney High Schools are trick-or-treating for non-perishable food items to support the Saskatoon Food Bank and Learning Centre. Over the past 2 decades, this initiative has brought in more than 200,000 pounds of food.
There's a lot of people who can't financially get good food, so it's very important to me for some of my friends. Sometimes they can't afford proper nutrition and stuff. So I think it's really important for us to do our part, help out our community, and that everybody gets a good meal plan.
The food that is collected is transported to the food bank by Rosedo Transport. The Saskatoon neighborhood is getting into the spirit of the season, celebrating its first ever Ghouls and Goodies on Broadway event.
Oh, trick or treat!
The celebration transformed Broadway into a festive Halloween scene with a trick-or-treat trail, pumpkin carving, and photo ops with creepy witches and goblins. A local history buff and ghost buster, Murray Gross, is doing a guided walk through Broadway and Newtana tonight.
We have almost 50 businesses participating, handing out candy so moms and tots can come and go up and down Broadway and get a bag full of goodies. And we also have a pumpkin carving contest. So we have 4 submissions, and we're asking everyone to vote for their favorite. And the winner receives a $250 prize. Then we have our resident witch, Barbara, who is on the stage, and we're encouraging people to get their photo taken with Barbara.
The event is meant to offer a safe, inclusive, and memorable way for families, friends to celebrate Halloween. Some Prince Albert youngsters who aren't quite ready for too many scares got to tour a haunted house today. One of Prince Albert Childcare's locations welcoming kids from different daycares today, taking them through a maze of ghosts and ghouls, as well as sneaky dinosaurs and a whole lot of pumpkins. The haunted house is a fundraiser for the organization to help cover the cost of programming and excursions. Staff say the biggest hits today were the spaghetti brains and face painting. The center also offering a Halloween dance designed for kids ages 2 to 6.
The staff here at the 6th Street location did an amazing job. They got the kids involved with the decorations. So a lot of the decorations are all kids' crafts, all hung up by the staff. It looks absolutely amazing inside.
Staff say they are hoping to run the haunted house again next year. Here in Saskatoon, kids were out in full force in search of tricks and treats.
Flame on!
Superheroes, K-pop, demon hunters, even tiny strawberries were out late this afternoon going door to door. The forecast wasn't quite what we were hoping for, but with an extra layer or two, the kids are heading out to get their fill of sweet treats, fun times, and even a little spooky scare here and there. Still to come, are trade talks between Canada and the U.S. on again? We'll find out. Also, avoiding a scene in Saskatoon from 32 years ago. You're watching CTV News Live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. Trade talks between Canada and the U.S. are still off, according to the president. This after Trump and Carney spoke briefly in Asia, which Trump called a nice conversation. Jeremy Sharon has the details.
Back on U.S. soil after meeting with world leaders in Asia, U.S. President Donald Trump confirming talks with Canada aren't restarting.
What did you talk about with Prime Minister Carney? Are you and Canada going to resume negotiations?
No. Trump and Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke during a working dinner earlier this week with other world leaders in South Korea, the first encounter between the two leaders since this Ontario government anti-tariff ad prompted Trump to halt negotiations.
I have a very good relationship. I like him a lot. But you know what they did was wrong. He was very nice. He apologized for what they did with the commercial.
On Thursday, the Prime Minister's office confirmed Trump and Carney spoke during the dinner, but didn't make mention of an apology. The Office of the Minister in charge of Canada-U.S. relations declined to comment today.
Our job is to respect their choice and deal with whoever is in the White House. And so it's up and down with Canada, but we'll just have to bear through it as we make our way in getting a trade agreement, a new trade agreement with our American neighbor.
Washington has accused Canada of being difficult to deal with in negotiations. Trump's National Economic Council director telling CNN Canada hasn't been playing fair.
So President Trump won't stand for it. He's tried to negotiate with the Canadians to get better deals for Americans, and they've been, frankly, rude and dismissive. And this is how it gets to where we are.
Carney's government has said it stands ready to resume negotiations whenever Washington is ready, and Canada's ambassador to the U.S. says lines of communication remain open. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, Ottawa.
As we told you earlier, the Prime Minister was in China meeting with the president there. Judy Trin is there and has more on how the meetings went between the two national leaders.
The face-to-face hosted by China marked the first time in 8 years that a Canadian and Chinese leader met officially. Mark Carney expressed regret for lost time.
Distance is not the way to solve problems, not the way to serve our people with people-centric growth, as you have advocated. Pragmatic and constructive engagement is.
The meeting lasted 39 minutes. According to a readout from the Prime Minister's office, the leaders discussed trade issues, including agriculture, canola, seafood, and electric vehicles. There's no deal, but there's dialogue.
We now have a turning point in the relationship.
The freeze in relations began in 2018 after Canada arrested Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou at the request of the U.S. In response, China detained Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. Then in 2022, Xi scolded former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in front of cameras. Analysts say recalibrating with China must be done carefully.
Mr. Carney will be able to have firm views on difficult issues related to human rights, religious freedom, and so on, while at the same time saying, let's discuss how we can work together.
We are going to have to play our own game with China based on our own interests and our own ambitions.
This was the second time Carney has met Xi. Previously, they met in 2016 when he was governor of the Bank of England. There will be a third meeting, too. Xi Jinping has invited Carney to China for a state visit. Judy Trin, CTV News, Gyeongju, South Korea.
Affordability is one of the big issues expected to be addressed by the Carney government in the next week's budget. Tonight, we are speaking to Canadians facing rising costs on what would help them the most. CTV's Andrew Johnson has one family's unique story in North Delta, BC.
Crack it open.
In the Higgins household, Mom and her helpers are making sourdough from scratch, trying to save.
The cost is, $4 or $5 a loaf. My kids go through so much bread. So much bread.
And the family of 5 is making tough choices at the grocery store.
Juice is becoming a luxury, something that I'm like, maybe we need to stick to milk and water for the kids.
Ahead of budget day, Caitlin Higgins' ask from Ottawa is a way to pay less.
Gas and groceries, those, they really drain our accounts.
The family is fortunate to own their own home in one of the most unaffordable regions of the country. In fact, 3 generations of the Higgins family live in multiple homes on what used to be one lot. Next door, Caitlin's brother-in-law Patrick is feeling the same pinch.
This morning, I went out with my girlfriend. We went to a park, and before we got a couple coffees and breakfast. It was like $30.
Patrick is pulling for the feds to forge a quick path toward economic peace with the U.S.
Find a way to smooth that out, and I'm not saying, appease everything that Trump has to say, which is not the answer.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Patrick's parents tore down the rancher they raised 7 children in to build 4 smaller homes and help their kids. They want to see all levels of government help more people do the same.
The federal government could do a lot by giving tax breaks to people that redevelop their own property. We really want young people, not just our own kids, but other young people to have a chance to own a home on the ground where they can put down roots.
Thinking outside the box on housing, cheaper groceries and gas, and a smoother way forward with the U.S. The asks from the Higgins family in North Delta, BC. Go! Andrew Johnson, CTV News.
Police in Saskatchewan will be keeping an extra watch on the streets with Halloween activities and Game 6 of the World Series, both on the same night. Services wanting to avoid a repeat of what happened in Saskatoon 32 years ago. The last time the Toronto Blue Jays won the World Series was October 23rd, 1993. Thousands of people flocked to 8th Street in Saskatoon to celebrate, but the celebrations turned ugly and with property and businesses vandalized. People started to riot with police forced to use tear gas and batons, the night ending with at least a dozen people arrested. Saskatoon police say they have a plan in place and will be watching to see how things play out with the game. It says it will also be conducting a check stop focused on impaired driving in conjunction with Halloween. The Prince Albert Police Service says officers will also be out on patrol to ensure people are trick-or-treating and taking in the World Series celebrations safely. Well, kids got a haul of treats at Ottawa's Rideau Hall tonight. This is the Governor General and her husband decked out in Jays gear, handing out goodies to costumed kids. Just some of the Halloween fun that happened in the capital today.
To invite you to Pumpkins on Parade.
When is it?
Saturday night.
What time?
6:30 to 7:30.
Where?
Univista Garden.
Where's that?
Behind Univista School.
And do you have one more question?
What's the weather like, Jeff?
Well, kids, I can tell you the weather's going to be pretty good. It's going to be a lot nicer than it was today. So let's take a look and see what we've got going on for tomorrow. Well, look at this, 13 degrees in the middle of the afternoon. So by the time we get to tomorrow night, and of course, the Buena Vista Community Gardens on McPherson, just behind Buena Vista School on Lorne Avenue. And things get underway at 6:30, 13 degrees, cloudy conditions, as I mentioned. And it's just an hour long, so you can check it out. And it should be a lot of fun. So once again, it's coming up tomorrow night, just off of Lorne Avenue. Okay, 1 degree for our current condition in Saskatoon, 2 in Prince Albert, 0 in the Battlefords. And as you can see, it's a little breezier in the Battlefords in Saskatoon than it is in Prince Albert. Saskatoon's almanac, well, here we go. We've got ourselves 3 degrees for a high. That is 2 degrees below seasonal. 19 degrees in 1958, minus 20 in 1935. And as you can see, the sun came up at 8 in the morning, and it went down at 5:40.
Coming up, checking out Halloween horror, why so many of us like the feeling of being spooked and scared.
enjoyed your Halloween. It's time now to grow the Mo. Monday morning, the Movember campaign officially launches in support of men's health. We're learning all about it.
I can tell you that we've got ourselves some lovely shots of some Blue Jays here, and they're eating peanuts. And yes, this comes from some Gil Risling, and a lovely shot of the Jays enjoying the peanuts. And he's got a lot of Jays there, so I think this is a great sign that the Jays are in full flight. There we go. All right, then. Yeah. I don't know. They're eating something good. I might have eaten something bad. So, there you have it. There are the Blue Jays. Let's go and let's take a look at the sky cam shot, as I mentioned. Maybe something not sitting with me, so we'll get through this together. Anyhow, a lovely shot of the sky here and the flickering lights. And yeah, we'll just let's take a look at the satellite and radar shot here. Okay, we've got ourselves a lot of an atmospheric river. Don't exactly love that color green right now. Atmospheric river bumping into parts of Vancouver and then sliding down eventually down in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. And, of course, a messy situation out in Canada's East Coast. But let's take a quick look and see what our numbers are like here. 1 degree in Saskatoon. Okay. Oh, I ate something. I think it went right through me. Oh, it went right through me. Did you see that beeping up Fifth Avenue? It went right through me. Moving on. All right, let's take a look at these numbers. And scene. 1 degree in Saskatoon, 2 in Prince Albert, and 0 in the Battleford. Chantal, you're not laughing out loud. Yeah, exactly. I'll see a doctor. Leader, 8 degrees, the hotspot. Kindersley, wow, minus 11 in Kindersley last night. Around the province we go. 1 degree in Lloydminster, minus 1 in Swift Current, 1 on the plus side in Yorkton, Regina, and Estevan. Some pretty consistent temperatures there. And this is true of central Saskatchewan, too. Not much of a temperature range here, just 3 degrees between minus 1 in Spiritwood and Waskesiu and Rosetown, up to 2 in Nipawin and Hudson Bay. Up north, well, look at this. A pretty consistent temperature pattern. This is what we saw yesterday, too. So basically around that 1 degree mark in northern Saskatchewan. And down south, a little warmer, but only a little. 3 degrees in Leader, 5 in Maple Creek. But then we're into the 1s and minus 1s and 0s. And minus 2 is the coldest it gets on this part of our map, and that's in Elbow. All right, now moving on to our future cast. Well, as you can see, rainy and windy conditions for British Columbia. And some of that moisture and wind moves into Alberta. But then the winds, you can see those isobar lines starting to gap a little bit. So I'm not anticipating big-time winds, but certainly you'll notice it. And then as we make our way into tomorrow afternoon, we've got ourselves a rain-snow mix, or rather in the early morning, it's a rain-snow mix for northern areas, and then in the afternoon, some rain moving into areas north of Saskatoon. So here we go. We've got some snow expected in Stony Rapids and Key Lake tomorrow, but temperature staying nicely above seasonal. Look at that. Buffalo Narrows, 9 degrees tomorrow, 9 as well in Meadow Lake and Spiritwood, 13 in Kindersley and Rosetown. Down in the southwest, getting as warm as 18 in Maple Creek, 16 in Leader and Swift Current with a chance of rain in Swift Current, 14 in Outlook, 14 as well in Moose Jaw, 11 in Regina, 9 in Estevan, and 7 in Yorkton. Cloudy or mainly cloudy skies, and lots of cloudy conditions for east central Saskatchewan. 8 degrees in Melfort, 12 in Watrous, 10 in Humboldt, and 6 for a high in Hudson Bay. The Battleford's dropping down to 1 degree tonight with partly cloudy skies. A good chance of showers tomorrow with a high of 10. Light winds, but they shift around a little bit. 8 on Sunday, Monday 7, and then temperatures slowly driving down to 1 degree, and that's on Friday with a chance of some rain and snow mixture. For partly cloudy skies for Prince Albert, minus 4, 9 degrees with mainly cloudy conditions. The weekend looking not too bad, though. Sunny or mainly sunny conditions, 8 degrees on Sunday, 7 on Monday, and then starting a slow trend down towards seasonal temperatures. That's what 2 is for this time of year in Prince Albert. And for Saskatoon, minus 2 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, don't forget, this is great football weather, 13 degrees, not particularly windy. Ray Morrison should be happy. Cloudy skies, Thunderbirds taking on the Huskies at 2 p.m. at Griffith Stadium. And the 7-day forecast, 9 degrees on Sunday and Monday, 7 on Tuesday, 5 on Wednesday, Thursday 5 as well with a chance of showers and a chance of rain or flurries on Friday. But 4 degrees is still 2 degrees above seasonal. Another major media franchise is making the jump to the big screen. Warner Brothers says Hello Kitty movie is on the way in 2028. The cartoon feline was introduced by Japanese company Sanrio more than 50 years ago. Since then, the character has become a common sight on toys, clothing, and thousands of other products. There's been no word on the plot, but Variety reports the Hello Kitty movie will be directed by Zootopia animator Leo Matsuda with a script from Wicked writer Dana Fox.
You can't resist this.
Who could?
You know.
And speaking, or should I say singing, of Wicked, early box office forecasts are out for the musical movie sequel. The original Broadway show was split into 2 segments and expanded across North America. Last year's Part 1 brought in more than $112 million US in its opening frame. Deadline reports Wicked, for good, is set to copy that performance. It's expected to have sales of $112 to $115 million on its opening weekend and debuts November 21st, which I believe is American Thanksgiving.
You guys look
Adam Sandler, the Sandman, got a special surprise in Seattle. While in town as part of his stand-up tour, players with the Seattle Kraken asked him to come to the locker room. There he found them in costume, dressed as Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and even the wedding singer. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
All right, Jeff, I know you're not feeling well, but do you feel up to showing us pick of the day?
I guess I could do it. We'll see. Okay, let's take a look. All right, this is our first one. This one comes to us from Elizabeth, and Liz says, these pumpkins carved at Spruce Grove Estates condo, and look at that one there, they're done up like a baseball for the Jays. All right, fingers crossed. Thank you, Liz. The next one comes to us from Amy. She says, this is Harry, and he's a huge Jays fan. And he looks like he's somewhat happy to be wearing that toque. And finally, we've got one here from Mark, and it simply says, "Mwahahaha." So I hope I did that laugh correctly. Thanks, Mark, for sending that image of the moon with a witch. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to CFQC News at CFQCnews@ctv.ca. And please put pick of the day in the subject line.
Still to come on CTV News, stirring up the scares, why many people like a good fright at this time of year. From haunted houses to horror movies, a lot of people are seeking out a Halloween scream. It's the one night of the year we run toward fear, something most of us typically avoid. Terry Fikowski tried to answer why we like to be scared.
Sinister scenes lining the streets.
It's too late to hide.
Homes transformed into haunted horrors. It's all meant to cause a spook. And for many, that's the whole point.
It's Halloween. To me, it's meant to be scary.
It gives a thrill. Freaky, right?
You know, you get screams and, I don't know, it just brings me joy.
From classic thrillers like It or jump scares on Friday the 13th, people want a living nightmare. And it turns out there's a real reason why.
We know how to kill a vampire. We know how to stop a werewolf. It's much more terrifying to think that we can't afford the food that we need to live.
Alex Bierman says our fascination with fear comes down to control, or at least the illusion of it. A safe shock is fun because while the screams are real, the threat is not.
Scary movies, scary books, they give us a sense to feel the sense of powerlessness, while at the same time knowing that really we aren't powerless. This is a temporary condition that's not real.
So what about those who are doing the scaring, who like to dress up and give others a fright? This is scary, right?
I really just like the thrill of the people running and screaming, honestly.
The Shrieker has turned this Calgary garage into a haunted maze for a 5th year and says the crowds just keep growing.
A lot of jump scares, a lot of live actors this year. Definitely the scariest year I've ever done.
Proving that a little fright is a lot of fun once you navigate out of the darkness and survive the scare. Terry Fikowski, CTV News, Calgary.
When we come back, the Huskies on their playoff quest and later carving into Halloween.
All right, welcome back. It's time for the rural forecast, and things are looking okay. Certainly warmer than they were today as that wind and that air mass comes in from British Columbia. But 10 degrees tomorrow in Lloydminster, 13 in Kindersley, but both locations there's a chance of some showers. We saw that on the Futurecast. And then 9 for Meadow Lake and Spiritwood, 8 for Melfort, 12 in Watchers, 14 in Outlook, making our way over towards Hudson Bay, 6 degrees. Not bad. It's not as warm as 10 or 13, but still above seasonal. 8 in Wynyard, making our way down south. Really warm in the southwestern part of the province. Leader at 16, the same for East End, Cypress Hills, 18 in Maple Creek, and staying in the teens through central areas for the most part, but it does cool off by the time we get closer to the eastern side of Saskatchewan. 7 degrees expected for a high in Kenora, Broadview, and Carlisle. And let's take a look and see what's going on in Paradise Hill tomorrow. Well, we've got ourselves mainly partly cloudy skies, I should say, 9 degrees, so about 5 degrees above seasonal, and the wind's shifting around a little bit, but still not particularly strong winds. And Paradise Hill is one of the places where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel. And now it's time for some pictures of the day. First of all, we're going to start off with this one. Now, I took this one last Saturday next door at the Capitol Music Club. A lot of good costumes, but I love this one. You probably can't read the name on the bow, but it's the Edmund Fitzgerald. So very creative. So crank up the Gordon Lightfoot. Our next picture, this comes to us from Leanne in Saskatoon. She sent this in this afternoon. Halloween night. The dog has the tiger by the tail. So funny. That's what she says, and it is funny. So thank you, Leanne, for sharing that. Our next one comes from Ashley Turner. It's her daughter's Evelyn as Stitch. I don't know what the dog's name is, but it looks like he's dressed up as a pumpkin. And the policewoman there, that is Georgia. So a great picture there, Ashley. And finally, let's see what we've got here. What's next? There we go. This one is from Ryan Josephson. Now, this is a picture from Regina. I know. He's a Humboldt guy, though, and he's a principal at Douglas Park School in Regina, and that's his vice principal, Brenda, as Barbie in the box. So there you go. Thank you, everyone, for submitting those pictures, and please send in more pictures. We will do more of your Halloween photos on Monday.
U of S Huskies will begin their playoff quest for a championship this weekend.
5 receivers, pressure coming, loses the football, and it's Sheck who's got it. Lucas Sheck. Could he take it all the way? It could be, it might be, it should be, it is!
The Huskies are coming off a win over Manitoba to cap off the regular season and will now get ready to face the UBC Thunderbirds in this weekend's conference semifinals. The Huskies beat UBC twice during the regular season and have not lost on home turf all season. This will be the 4th time the Huskies have faced the Thunderbirds this year. The two teams faced each other in the preseason, and this weekend's game is a rematch of last year's semifinal that the Huskies won in Vancouver. Kickoff for tomorrow's game is at 2 p.m. If the Huskies win, they would host the conference championship on November 8th. RCMP Depot in Regina is celebrating 140 years. Damien Smith has more on Depot's history and its modern challenges in training officers for the National Police Service.
It's a celebration of 140 years at City Hall, commemorating the history of the RCMP Depot Division in Regina. A flag raising to honor the history, service, and dedication of Depot since its formation in 1885.
And to put that into context, Queen Victoria was our monarch at the time. The Northwest Rebellion was going on, and 6 days after Depot opened, the railway was completed across Canada.
And that's not all that's changed.
Crime is getting more sophisticated. I think being a police officer is, more dangerous than it ever has been, more complex, dealing with many different scenarios, whether it's mental health or drugs.
With over 19,000 officers working across the country, the RCMP say that there has never been a better time to apply.
You know, some people will come to me and say, I'm not sure if I have what it takes to be a police officer. And obviously, if your heart is in the right place and you're a good person, that's the basic thing that we're looking for. You don't necessarily have to be big and strong. People come from all walks of life, and that's actually what makes us stronger.
The depot arrived shortly after Regina was founded in 1882, and the city is proud that it can be a key developer for cadets, including their 26-week training program.
We're just happy to be host to such an incredible service and something that serves our nation. And so, you know, we're proud. We're proud, you know, in Regina to host the service here, to host the training here, and to have, you know, people come to experience what we have to offer here in the city.
Hoping to carry on the tradition that started right here in the Queen City for another 140 years and beyond. Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
Several Canadian companies will benefit from a G7 plan to secure a supply of critical minerals. Marella Fernandez has more.
In June, G7 nations formed the Critical Minerals Production Alliance. Today, after a summit in Toronto, first investments were announced. Rio Tinto will get about $25 million to scale up its production of scandium. It's used in aerospace and auto production. Ucore Rare Metals will get more than $36 million to scale up refining of 2 rare earth elements. Right now, China is the dominant player in the mining and refining of rare earth elements and critical minerals. The G7 nations don't want to rely on Beijing for supplies. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.32. West Texas Intermediate crude slightly up to 60.98. Western Canadian Select barely moved. It's at 48.21. And the TSX gained 81 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
Coming up, going all out to cheer on their team. Then saving face this Halloween.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV starting at 7 with Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. Well, Halloween is giving extra incentive for Jays fans to get all decked out for tonight.
Keegan's cheering on the home team, right? Yeah, go Jays go, right?
That mini Blue Jay along with this baseball head and this pup among those dressing up as they got ready for tonight's big game. And at last check, it was 3-0 for the Dodgers, still in the top of the third. So an intense game shaping up. All right, if that's too stressful for you, we
it's a little stressful.
Take our minds off of that. Instead of smashing his enormous 2,000-pound pumpkin, one guy just decided to carve it.
I guess I go so fast just because I've done it so many times and practiced so much.
Joe Adkins is the king of growing and carving giant pumpkins. He prefers carving into the pumpkin surface rather than hollowing it out so the art lasts longer. That is smart. He also won some growing competitions this year and decided to take that cash and invest it in full-size chocolate bars for the hundreds of trick-or-treaters that come by his place every single year. So that is really a nice thing to do.
It is a nice thing to do, and not only sharing his art with the neighborhood, but, you know, giving back to the kinder. You know,
and maybe he'll share the pumpkin pie he's going to make, right?
Well, you know, I don't know. I don't know if a bigger pumpkin is good. You know, pumpkin, I don't know. So I just don't know.
Any pumpkin's good.
Okay, fair enough then.
Don't you think?
But, you know, sometimes, when let's say zucchinis get big, they get sort of tough and they're not great to eat. So I just don't know if that's the case with pumpkins.
I'll do some research over the weekend for you.
All right. Thank you.
In the meantime, you'll give us a decent forecast, right?
Well, you know what? Tomorrow is looking good. Of course, we've got that big football game at Griffith Stadium, but many locations, including Saskatoon, will be dealing with mainly cloudy or cloudy skies and warm temperatures getting up to 13 in Saskatoon by 5 o'clock, around 11 degrees. And the winds are not going to be a big deal, it looks like.
That is great. Yeah. Too bad it wasn't tonight, but.
Well, yeah, I know. Okay. Too bad, but it's like, you know, the goodness thing. You know what? It's going to be a beautiful way to be outdoors and take down your Halloween decorations and get ready for the next big season, because I know people are jonesing to get Christmas things out.
This is true, but for now, we're going to enjoy the many great things that we've seen around the city. We had a chance to check out some of the haunted houses in the city earlier this week. We're going to leave you with some of those highlights. So have a safe and happy Halloween. We'll see you next week.
Take care.